Hello students, in today's class we'll be continuing the pre-fertilization events. We already studied about gametogenesis, how the gamete formation has taken place. Now we'll move on over to the gamete transfer. The male gametes are generally motile. They are generally motile while the female gametes are stationary. The male gametes, like if we take the example of human beings, can perform the movement while the female gametes remain stationary. Gamete transfer requires a suitable medium. Like in case of algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, water acts as a medium through which the transfer can take place. A large number of male gametes are synthesized so that if some of them fail to reach the female gamete, some still manage to reach the female gamete. In plants like angiosperms, pollen grains carry the male gametes, which are transferred to the female reproductive part of the flower, and this process is known as pollination. So the transfer of male gamete to the female reproductive part takes place through pollen grain transfer. So the entire process is known as pollination. Now we'll move on to the process of pollination. The types of pollination. There are two types of pollination: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination takes place within the same flower or the different flower but of the same plant. The flower should be of same plant. While in case of cross pollination, the flowers are belonging to two different plants, provided those plants are of same species. Self pollination can further be divided into two categories. One is autogamy, the other one is geitonogamy. In case of autogamy, the flowers are same. The transfer of pollen to the stigma takes place within the same flower of the same plant, while in case of geitonogamy, there are two different flowers of the same plant involved. So the transfer of pollen takes place from one flower to the stigma of another flower but of the same plant. Autogamy can be of two types: chasmogamy and cleistogamy. We start with cleistogamy first. In case of cleistogamy, the flowers always remain closed. The flower remain closed, so the chances of transfer of pollen will be nil, and the pollination will take place only within the flower itself, since the flower is closed. In this case, usually the flower is bisexual. While in case of chasmogamy, the flower remains open, but the synchrony is there in pollen release and stigma close arrangement. When the pollen is released, the stigma is not allowing its movement towards the female reproductive part. While the cross pollination is also known as xenogamy. Xenogamy means two flowers of two different plants are involved provided they belong to the same species. There are certain examples: Viola, also known as Pansy, Oxalis and Commelina. They produce two different types of flowers, either chasmogamous or cleistogamous. Now we move on to another topic: outbreeding devices. Outbreeding devices are those devices which promote only cross pollination so that there are no chances of self pollination. Why do they avoid self pollination? So that there is no case of inbreeding depression. What is inbreeding depression? If the crossing is done between the same plant, then there are chances that there will be no variation. There will be no variation in this case, and the same species without any variability will be produced generation after generation. So this leads to inbreeding depression. In order to avoid such situation, there are outbreeding devices. So what are the various methods adopted in outbreeding devices? The first one is heterostyly. In case of heterostyly is the example given of primula. The stigma, the female reproductive part and the male reproductive part both are having different length. Either the length of filament of the male part is too long, or the stigma is at a height due to the great length of the style. Either the female reproductive part of the flower is too long or the male reproductive part of the flower is too long. In both of the cases, there will be no meeting of the pollen grain and the stigma. So it will avoid the self-pollination. While in case of hericogamy, is example Calotropis. In plants like Calotropis and orchids, the pollens are present within the pollinia, and in this case there will be a barrier for the transfer of pollen to the stigma. So they depend on the insects to carry the pollen to the stigma. Otherwise there will be difficulty in the transfer of pollen from the pollinia to the stigma of the flower. So the example of hericogamy, a good example of hericogamy is Calotropis, or you can take orchids also. Self-sterility. Self-sterility, sterile means not being able to give birth to the individual. Self-sterility means the pollens of the same flower do not germinate on the stigma of that flower. So this also avoids self-pollination. And it will avoid the transfer of the male gamete to the female reproductive part. While in case of protoandry, the term andry is here. This shows it is related with that of andrecium. So in case of protoandry, the andrecium grows, matures before the pistil. The anther becomes mature faster than that of pistil, which also avoids self-pollination. While in case of protogyne, the term gyne is there, that means they are relating it to the gynoecium. So in this case, the gynoecium matures, the pistil matures before the andrecium. This also avoids self-pollination. The last one is self-incompatibility. In this case, although the pollen has transferred to the stigma of the same flower, but it is not able to germinate and grow the pollen tube to such a length that it will be able to transfer the male gamete to the micropylar end of the embryo sac. Since it is not having the capability to develop the pollen tube, so in that case the male gamete is not getting transferred to the embryo sac. So this is known as self-incompatibility. So these are the 6 methods being adopted in case of outbreeding devices. Next is pollen pistil interaction. All the events from the transfer of pollen to the stigma till it develops the pollen tube and reaches the embryo sac of the ovule is known as pollen pistil interaction. So we'll be studying about pollen pistil interaction in detail. So all the events which involve the deposition of pollen grain on stigma and the entry of pollen tube into the ovule is known as pollen pistil interaction. Now this pollen grain, after it has been transferred to the stigma checks the compatibility of the pollen grains, whether the pollen grain is belonging to the same species or it is of different species. Now it decides whether to promote the germination, allow the germination of pollen grain, or to inhibit. So there is a chemical interaction taking place between pollen and stigma. Now the compatible pollens are accepted by stigma and now it starts germinating. The germination begins and the formation of pollen tube starts. When the pollen tube increases in length, then it reaches to the embryo sac through the micropylar end. Now, these pollen grains carry two male gametes. In certain conditions, instead of carrying the male gametes, the pollen grain consists of two-celled condition. It consists of one vegetative cell and one generative cell. Now, while the growth of pollen tube is taking place, till that time this generative cell divides into two male gametes, and then these male gametes are transferred into the ovule through the micropylar end. So this is known as two-celled condition. The two-celled condition is that condition in which pollen grain contains vegetative and generative cell, and the division of generative cell into the two male gametes takes place after it has been transferred to the stigma. While in three-celled condition, the pollen grain already contains the two male gametes. Generative cell has already been divided into two male gametes, and these male gametes are transferred through the pollen tube to the embryo sac. This is a three-celled condition. Pollen grain contains three cells: a vegetative cell and the two male gametes. Now the pollen tube, after reaching the ovary, enters the ovule through micropylar end, and then the synergates present at the micropylar end allows interaction of pollen tube towards the micropylar end and stimulates it to release the male gametes. Now these male gametes are released at the micropylar end into the cytoplasm of synergates. The interaction is important in plant breeding for superior plant development. Now the process of pollen pistil interaction has taken place after the male gamete has been transferred to the micropylar end. There are certain artificial method of hybridization also being practiced. In this case, the crossing is done between the desired pollen grains and the stigma is protected from the unwanted pollens. So it is a controlled practice which is done artificially. So how it is done, we'll be talking about. There are two main steps which are involved in the process of artificial hybridization. First one is emasculation and the other one is bagging. In case of emasculation, firstly we'll take the bisexual flower. We are taking an example of bisexual flower. If we take the bisexual flower, in process of emasculation, we will remove the male part of the flower. We will remove the anther from that bisexual flower. After removing the anther, the process of emasculation is over. In the process of emasculation, the male part from the flower is removed so that self-pollination is avoided. Now, bagging. Now, the next step is bagging. We do the bagging of the female reproductive part of the pistil with the butter paper so that no other pollen from outside is getting in contact with that of stigma. So that pistil is now covered with the butter paper. This process is known as bagging. Now after bagging, it we'll take the desired pollens which has to be transferred. We'll remove the butter paper and dust those desired pollens on the stigma and again do the rebagging of it. We will rebag it to avoid the interaction with the outside environment. Now we'll rebag it and leave it till the fruits are allowed to develop. While now the process is over. In certain flowers which are unisexual, there is no need of emasculation. The female flower does not contain, as it is unisexual, it does not contain any of the male part. So there is no need of emasculation. Simply we will do the bagging of it, and after some time when the stigma becomes receptive, then the pollination is done and the desired pollens are dusted over it, and then we will do the rebagging. The emasculation process is done only in case of bisexual flowers. So the basic motive of artificial hybridization is crop improvement, means protecting the crop from the undesired pollens. Now we move on to the process of double fertilization. After the process of pollen pistil interaction and the pollination, we have moved on to the major step. After the pre-fertilization events, we have moved on to the fertilization events. In the process of fertilization, now the male gametes come in contact with the female gamete. The two male gametes released by the pollen grain has now reached the micropylar end of the embryo sac, and through the synergids they enter into the embryo sac, and one of the male gamete, the pollen tube, releases these two male gametes into the synergids. Now one of the two male gametes now fuse with the egg cell and they form a zygote. One of the two male gamete fuses with the egg cell and which is present at the micropylar end, and it forms the zygote. So a diploid zygote is formed now. This zygote further develops into embryo, while the another male gametes fuses with the two polar nuclei which is present at the center, and it forms a triploid primary endosperm nucleus. It forms a pen or primary endosperm nucleus which further develops into endosperm. So in case of syngamy, zygote is formed, a diploid zygote is formed, while in case of triple fusion, a triploid primary endosperm nucleus is formed. These two processes together, syngamy and triple fusion together, are known as double fertilization. Since there is fusion, two fusions taking place, one between the male gamete and the egg cell and other between the male gamete and the two polar nuclei. As you can see here in the diagram, the male gamete fuses with the egg nucleus which is present at the micropylar end, and it forms the diploid zygote, while the another male gamete fuses with the two polar nuclei and it forms a triploid primary endosperm nucleus. So we'll end up here.